Hello! Dang it.
Jason, you are freaking horrible, my man.
He did that on purpose.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Dang kids. Can't take them anywhere. Anyway. Hello! Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Presented by Primary Arms. So, tonight, we're going back down the rabbit hole. I don't even know if we're going to get to... Are we going to see the Mad Hatter tonight, or are we just going to be,
we're getting
chasing
close.
Alice?
We're chasing Alice still.
Okay. All right, good. I just wanted to warn everybody. So,
yeah.
So that's, we're going to talk about, we're still on priming. So, we're going to dig down into that a little more. So that's going to be fun. But, I want to thank, Jake and Ryan over at Patriot Patch Company. They're the bandwidth sponsor of this lovely program. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, that's my disappearing act. How'd you like that? Should we do the show like that where I'm not in the show? Here's the patch of the month. So, my little Armalite. GGW Reloading, I fixed it. So, shouldn't say Rabbi hole anymore, dang it. So, one of the things we've wanted to do for a while, and hadn't done before, but we did now, is... we ordered some stickers. And so before March 31st, all of these gentlemen and lady will have in their possession Reloading Podcast stickers. So if we happen to meet you, the idea is we can pass them out.
Stick one on Jason's forehead.
No, I don't want to ruin the sticker like that.
You got to use a staple gun for that.
No, that's a damn good idea, then. Unfortunately, Paul, even if we had the pneumatic staple gun, still not strong enough to penetrate that dense forehead. So, but Jake, being the awesome person he is, sent some extra goodies. And so we're going to do some giveaways with some of the extra goodies he sent. So he sent a couple of the I Roll My Own patches. There's just a bunch of little stuff here, and so we're gonna go and give some of this stuff away. So one of a lot of people's favorite patches was a patch of the month from September, a couple months last year, or the year before. So. But yeah, we're going to give away some of these. I got to figure out how we're going to do that yet. It's not going to be tied to the Lyman giveaway, which is running currently on Instagram. However, one thing I have noticed is there's a couple of people that went to Instagram and then sent a private message instead of posting underneath the post. So the problem they're going to have, unless they rectify it, they're not going to be in the drawing. So... for the Lyman stuff. So, for reminder, Lyman stuff I'm talking about is the brass catcher, a Lyman sticker, and a Lyman morale patch. So, you got to go to Instagram and Reloading Podcast Instagram, and then underneath the Lyman post, which is a picture of those, you need to comment one of 3 comments. What were those comments? Does anybody remember? Jim, you know one of them. Actually, you know 2 of them. One you just have a severe disdain for.
Powder Coat Nation, baby.
Alox Nation.
And the 3rd comment, I want to win. And that's WANNA. I want to win. So, the rest of this stuff. the rest of this stuff, and I've got a couple other things that, we'll make appearances later when we actually get settled on what we're going to give away. So, but I just kind of wanted to know that we had some Patriot Patch swag that we're going to be giving away here in the next couple of weeks. So, a couple of these are going to be specifically and only for live show tune-in people. So those of you who tune in to the live show every week, a couple of these patches are going to be specifically for you and you alone. So anyway, now that I'm making a bunch of background noise that I can't take out because I'm dumb sometimes. Anyway, also keep in mind, Jake has a exclusive run that he's doing right now for Space Force. He's released the first two already. They're gone. He's got two more, one coming this Friday, one coming next Friday, because Facebook is a little biatch. He's doing those giveaways on MeWe. So, wife surprised me with kind of a cool gift this week. And I think she got it off Etsy, but I'm not sure. I will find out for sure, but she got me a little air freshener. It's in the bag because it's very powerful. It's cherry bomb scent, but as you can see, it says I can load more than a washer and dryer. And it's got a compensated striker fired pistol with some ammo. And then they put just the brass part of a 12 gauge shell into the air freshener. So this is going to wind up in the truck at some point in time. But that's kind of the cool things there. So there's a gentleman I ran into on MeWe a couple weeks ago. He has a 3D printing company that he sells a bunch of stuff. And the company's name is Precision MOA. For the most part, it's kind of some of your standard 3D printed fare, your different lock rings and stuff like that. These are designed more for using on a Dillon tool head. These are just your standard lock rings with your Allen wrench or Allen bolt to tighten it down. He's got a little tag that says empty, another one that says MOA for different labeling things. The thing that I thought was cool that I really hadn't seen before is a two-way powder funnel for 1 pound bottles. And so I talked to him about this. Full disclosure, he sent all of these, and we are going to have him on the show coming up in the future. But what it is he 3D printed a funnel that you can put onto your 1 pound powder bottles. And it serves two purposes. One, it literally just screws right on. So screws down. And it serves two purposes. One, it actually, now you have a funnel on your bottle. But more importantly, you have a funnel attached if you want to put powder back in the bottle. So you're not trying to figure that mess out. And you also know which powder you're using because it's got the funnel on it. So I thought that was pretty neat and handy. So, but that's Precision MOA. I'll put a link in the show notes for his website. And then, like I said, a couple weeks down the road, we'll have him on the show to kind of talk about all the stuff. He does have some other stuff available. Like I've seen he's got some those 3D throw levers for, say, when you're adjusting your scope, the quick adjusts that you put on your magnification adjustment on your scopes. So you can do it easy without having to fight for that. So that was another cool thing that they've got going. So. And that's everything that's been going on in my world. Who's next?
All at once now. Okay.
Bueller. I nominate Jim. Jim. Paging Jim.
Here I'm here. I had myself muted. I was eating chips and I knew you wouldn't want to hear that. Anyway, since we're there, I'm going to throw looks like maybe Mike or Mark Trundle from the land down under. Welcome. Yep, that's the one. Anyway, what I did last week? Well, actually, it was last week. It was Saturday last week. I went and oh my God, Jim Fleming went shooting again. I actually chronographed some 22 ammo. Some 222 Winchester 222, 222 rounds to the box, 36 grain, and I also chronographed some other ammo that I bought. That's crappy ammo. It's funny. It's about 150 feet per second slower than the 222 was. Usually Winchester is pretty low velocity in my handgun.
Did you say you bought ammo?
22 rimfire ammo.
Ah, that would make sense then.
I bought, when I qualified for my CCW here in North Carolina, I did buy 2 boxes of CCI Blazer or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Then I turned around and wound up using Winchester White Box. Stuff I had from before when I first got the gun.
That's funny.
But whatever. I wanted to have factory ammo just to be sure that there was no issue whatsoever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, qualifying and then carry ammo is a whole different story. So
You bet. How about the lady? She's been busy. She even got an email from you today. She looked at it. Sharonda, you next? You want to go next here?
I'll go next. Yeah, I've been busy the last couple of weeks. I got mandatory overtime at work. So I actually clocked out so I could visit you guys. And I'll probably have to drop off early and clock back in. But I've done a few solo hunts myself because I'm working towards mentoring some ladies this summer. I need to work on getting my hunter safety certification. I'm just waiting for the next class to come up. The organization that I'm one of the 4 founders are, we've expanded. So there's been a lot of collaboration going on in the background of it. And this past weekend, I actually went on my first snow goose hunt. Just so happened the geese flew back south the day we were there. But I got to meet 14 other ladies that we've been socializing on Instagram for about a year, maybe a little longer. So we all got together to go do this hunt. So there were 16 women out trying to snow goose hunt, and also got sunburned. But it was the best weekend ever. 16 women, no drama, no arguing, no fighting, all in camo with guns laying in pop-up blinds. Fun.
You got sunburned in the wintertime?
I did. And here's the kicker. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and have that. I was the only black person there at the snow goose hunt. I was the only one that got sunburned. You can see the line right here.
I do see it.
So in case anybody was wondering, Carhartt does have a layer of UV protection. There's your proof. Go ahead and laugh.
That's what I would call a grinder reminder. Remember that?
Yeah.
What's this, Jason?
The grinder reminder. That line.
I forgot all about that damn grinder. Oh, we hated that thing.
Oh, and the bullets that I casted a few weeks back. I'm actually going to size them this weekend and hopefully get them loaded.
Size them?
Yeah, they're not sized.
Okay. What are you going to size? How are you going to size them? Tell us.
I have the Lee
push-through system?
Yeah.
Push-through system? Okay, the one thing about that, Shrenda, that's designed to be used with A-locks, or unless you powder coat it first.
They're powder coated.
Good. Good.
Yep. No A-locks here, Jim. Sorry.
Well, Travis is not here. I was like, you just slammed the snot out of me. Travis isn't here to enjoy it. He might catch it on the rewind. Did you get my email? Did you get my email?
Who?
You.
Me?
Yeah, you.
No, I haven't been in my email all day
Oh.
today.
Okay, well, you got one from me,
Okay.
but from the NRA women.
Uh-oh.
You don't have to join the NRA, but you can still enjoy the tips and tricks.
I'm already part of the NRA.
Good. I'm a benefactor member, but that's my problem.
Hey, there's still hope that when they make this move to Texas, that WLP is forced out. So that's what I'm hoping for.
He should step down. I won't dispute that.
Yeah. So anyway, Nick.
Actually went shooting on Saturday as well.
Sweet.
Competed in a competition actually called the Cabin Fever Challenge.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if anybody in the comments ever heard of that. It's put on by a guy up in Canada called Rifle Chair. It's a timed event. You shoot 5 rounds standing, 5 rounds kneeling, 5 rounds prone, and 5 rounds sitting at 100 yards with a mandatory reload in between. It's to test your marksmanship. So
sounds like
what's that?
I said, did you get your patch?
I did. I don't know. It's just a friendly competition. It's more just to see how good you need to keep practicing or how good you are. I could tell I need to keep practicing. I can tell I don't shoot from a lot of those positions very often. I shoot from the bench a lot, so you keep on practicing.
Sounds a lot like the Army Marksmanship challenge.
Very similar.
Which is what Appleseed's based off of. I think that's what Jim was going to say. So
it was.
Hey, Jason, what you been up to?
Well, I got a package this week.
Holy shit!
Oh, God, Jason, I've had 2 heart attacks. Don't give me a third.
It was from Idaho too.
Jason, you're gonna kill me.
It wasn't what I ordered, what I paid for, but it was all the extras.
I feel better now. He screwed you again.
So, baby steps. He's got to work his way up to actually shipping what I purchased. So, he'll get there eventually. Either that or I'm going to show up on his doorstep one Saturday morning. So, give me my stuff.
And hang him steel targets. You had that picture your boy took of you a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Hang those targets around his neck and hang him by the target.
Yep. That's all I did.
No, Paul, did you say what you did?
No, I just nothing this week, but last week I went out and put 50 rounds through my 308 and all kept them all in the single digits in ESs and SDs.
Nice.
So now if it wouldn't have been so cold, my trigger finger wouldn't have been frozen. That might have been better in the groups, but everything under about a half an inch.
Well, that's very good then.
Gun should shoot better.
Yeah, well, you got to take conditions into consideration.
The guy pulling the trigger should be better. That's the question. They got to do fine.
Yeah, that's the drawback in these northern states is weather's a factor, which then affects the person pulling the trigger. So
it's hard to focus on what you're doing when you're very uncomfortable like that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, not only that, but I had put that new trigger in, and I had set it to just over a pound. So that kind of, when you can't feel it that well.
Yeah. Buddy of mine's got a 257 Weatherby with a can jar set up. That's at 4 ounces.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we're out shooting that in the cold, it's quite a few surprise shots, shall we say. I mean, theoretically, when you're pulling the trigger, it should be a smooth movement and you should be slightly surprised by the shot going off because you shouldn't be anticipating it because it helps with those of us that have developed a flinch over the years. But that's a little extreme. So
yeah, but the can jars, you just touch it, it goes off. They are just
Yeah.
You know.
They're a nice trigger, but I don't think I'd ever put one on a hunting rifle.
No.
Yeah, I don't think I ever would.
So.
All right. So, Paul.
Yeah.
Let's start back down that rabbit hole.
Okay. We're priming, aren't we? Yes, we're priming. So Paul is kind of, I don't know, anal retentive as far as priming cases. And, well, let's do it the easy way. I have some CCI number 34s here and some Remington 9.5s, both large rifles. And wouldn't you know, there's just a little bit of differences in size and primers. These CCI 34s, they're running anywhere between 129 and 131 in their dimensions. And 9.5s from Remington are 131 to 133.
That's the primer height?
That's the primer height.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So as I run them in my gauge and take my measurements, I see where I'm at. And each lot's a little different. So I kind of have to gauge as I go through them. And let's take a brand new, let's see, yeah, right here. Brand new, once fired 308 Winchester case, and kind of run a measurement on there. And this one's running 120, 129. So if I go to put a Winchester in, a CCI in, it may fit without crushing the cup all the way in, or with the Remington 9.5, I know I'm going to crush the cup, even though the anvil is lower on the Remington. In other words, the cup is actually larger on the Remington than on the CCI. So I take my little tool here, and I have this one. This is an adjustable primer pocket reaming tool. And I have this one set at 133. Now, let's see, one more time, guys. Let's get this right so it's straight. $121 right now. And what I'll do is crank the back of it a little bit. Doesn't take much. There's 130. There's 133. See if I can. Whoops, I hit it. $134.5 right now. And without putting it on the drill and running it, I'd take this and flatten out and take the arc out of the primer pocket. If you understand that the primer pocket has a kind of an arc built into it, and we're going to take that out and get it all the way flat, all the way across the bottom of the pocket. Goes faster with the drill, but we have it now where it's flat across the bottom of the case. The reason we're doing this is that the cases are going to be a little bit different on each one. So we make them all uniform. Every case is going to be the same with the same bottom on it. And we are going to go ahead and get ready to prime. Now there's one other thing that we can do. And after more little advanced is adjust the primer for barrel harmonics. Now, this is an RCBS primer tool with a Holland Perfect Primer Cedar adapter mounted on it. This allows me to seat the primer consistently by limiting the amount of pressure that I can put on onto the primer. I slide back this handle here. I come up. Only one primer in, figures. There we go. Push that back in. Put my case on. Now, the shell holder for this one is very tight. In other words, there's very little play in this this number 3 shell holder from RCBS. I have other ones that have a little more play, so there's a little bit of selection to do, so you get a good even seat. That's all I have to do is just press that hard, and that gives me just about even right now. So that's still too high. I need to adjust it. I'm going to go 2 thousandths more. I'm level now. Go 4. And take my gauge. And I am 1 thousandths under right now. Now I'm at 4 thousandths, and this is where I want to be at for all my loads for this case, for this gun for this case at this time with that primer. Eventually, as you shoot more, the primer pocket will move down. You'll have to, say, after 5 or 6 loads on heavy loads, you're going to have to re-ream it again. You check your all the cases as you go through to.
Paul,
Yeah.
if I understand you correctly, sir, you're saying that the primer pocket will become shallower. Am I correct?
Right.
Am I right?
Yep.
Because of the compression of the fire, the explosion.
Combustion. Yeah.
Yeah, the combustion. You're right. The combustion going on in there, the pressure is actually causing the brass to move back down towards the primer itself.
Right.
Okay.
But we're trying, and we want to keep maintain a minimum of 3 thousandths on the seating of the primer. A minimum 3 thousandths. I like 4, and I have found that certain guns, because of harmonics, like to have primers seated deeper. So by experimenting, I found that my 22-250 likes to have the primer seated at 6 thousandths deep into the case, whereas my 223 will run at 2 thousandths without a problem in a bolt gun, and my 308 likes 4.
Okay, what you've got there, this for the benefit of the listening audience, the audio only audience. What you've got on your bench is an RCBS priming station with an automatic primer feed, right?
Yes.
And you also have an attachment there on the handle that limits you as to how much pressure you could put into the priming operation itself. What is that called, and where did you get it?
That's a Holland Perfect Primer Cedar, and it's from Holland Gunsmithing.
Thank you.
And they you can go to hollandguns.com and they will set you up. The latest catalog from them says this runs about $140, which is this milled aluminum with the bar, the adjustment screw, a spring, and your gauge. Okay.
Now that is, but you attach that to the RCBS priming.
I attach this to the RCBS. The handle gets replaced. This is the original handle.
Yes, sir.
Okay, as you can see, we have basically it's a screw.
Yep, you don't have to take it out. You don't have to take it out.
Through here, and it's been calibrated with a dial.
Yes, sir.
So we can go through it. Handle's a little bigger here, but you're limited. You can push all you want, and it isn't gonna force the case up any higher into there. And you can also again make it deeper, as your case is deepened. In other words, as you cut the shoulder, that you cut the primer pocket. You want the primer pocket to be flat and square as possible to the case head.
Yes, sir. I agree.
So with this tool, it rides on the case head here, and the cutter is a carbide cutter, so I can come in and cut the pocket out. And there's other people that make primer pocket reamers like this.
Yeah, there's such a thing as primer pocket reaming, primer pocket squaring.
Right. And correct. Let's call it a correction. Okay.
There you go.
Maybe we call it a correction to make it. Now, so K&M Manufacturing makes another one that has a correction tool where it's adjustable. You can get it to the right depth.
Okay.
And that's all we're looking at. Here we're looking at is an adjustment from the back and a set screw up in the front here. So we can go set that. And with the primers, with the tool here, you can get a good rhythm going by coming back, coming up, picking up a primer, pushing the rod in, the stops, and then pushing, putting the case in and putting it in. It doesn't take a whole heck of a lot longer than it did before, but you're getting a lot more control in placing your primer without crushing the primer, which can happen.
Oh yeah, I've done it with my my Lyman. My Lee Auto Prime. I've actually crushed primers with that.
And I have with my RCBS primer, hand tool, thumb tool.
Yeah, thumb tool. Yeah.
And there was a couple of issues because the first set of rods that.
Yeah, there was an issue with that tool that the rods were a little bit long or something like that.
The rods are too short.
Okay.
So you can go in and call RCBS up, and they will send you the rods that are the right length, and which are these here. So I keep these, and let me remember. I don't remember exactly, but let's just do a quick 1.880 is the rod length on the RCBS that should be you should be having in that tool, so you don't see the primer too shallow and or have the face of it exposed. A face exposed like this with a high primer like this here is you can with a bolt action you can actually seat that primer, but is it really seated? The firing pin is going to take and absorb some of it. If you have it on a semi-automatic, you're now subject to a slam fire.
I was going to say that's a perfect recipe for a slam fire. Actually, I beg to differ with you on when you say the firing pin will absorb it. What I think you meant was the seating of the primer will continue, and that seating of the primer will absorb some of the energy from the firing pin. Am I right?
That's right. And also set up your barrel harmonics differently.
Yes, sir. That I agree with totally.
So, and that's the reason I do this is because I'll start with 3,000s and go 1,000s at a time deeper after I've found a load that works. Okay. So if let's say the gun is shooting a good 1/2 inch, okay, which is for me, which is what I call normal for me, I will try and go 1,000s deeper, maybe over 5 loads. So all the way to 8,000s, from 3 to 8,000s, to see if the harmonics in the barrel changes with the firing pin strike and the primer going off.
Sort of like ladder loads. When ladder loads, when you use powder, you can by reloading and shooting by increment, developing your load by incremental process. And I didn't realize it, but you're absolutely right. I agree that you could do ladder loads with primer seating itself, like you said, adjusting it for the barrel harmonics.
Right. So, and this is where a lot of people are just really starting to come around to seeing what actually happens. But it's just the phenomenon with the firing pin and the primer going off and everything all at one time, and getting that barrel to be on that. I prefer it to be on the upswing when it goes off, so the load is going to be at the top of that node when I'm shooting.
Please continue, sir. Please continue.
Yeah, I will. A sec here. So when I'm still talking, what I'm looking at is for us to be able to build a load that is customized to that rifle, as a hand load. It's completely hand loaded. We are sitting there looking at, okay, we'll run 2 different primers. We'll run 1 primer depth first, and we'll see what happens. There's a Remington 9.5 large, or the CCI, or 34, or the CCR large rifle, going to affect our load differently. I mean, this is down the rabbit hole with priming, that I can run 2 or 3 or 5 different primers with that load to sit down and say, what's the best, where am I at, what's going to happen, and what's the best load for my my gun. So,
in other words, totally customized loads, totally customized hand loads, tailor-made for one specific bullet, one specific powder, one specific rifle.
Right. We want to take all the variables out of the equation.
Well, there's one variable that most of us are never going to be able to take out, and that's the nut behind the butt.
Well, that's what I say. I said, I can go so far and do what I do, but it's it comes down to me practicing, or you practicing, or and not picking up any bad habits in our in our daily shooting lives.
Well, my eyes are 67 years old. I've suffered flash burn. I've suffered foreign object injuries, stuff like that. And let's face it, I don't have the eyes that Nick does. Nick's in his late 20s, mid 20s, and he'd better be able to outshoot me with the same equipment.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, really.
I get my girls shoot better than I do now.
That's the way it should be too.
So and not this weekend, but last weekend before, I had one out, and yeah, she did better than I did. So I just
well, there's no shame in the teacher teaching the student to surpass the master. There's no shame.
yeah. But I want to sit down and teach the people here what. I'm not a master anymore. I'm the old guy that sits down and says, try this because you may be surprised what happens.
Yep, minding the details.
I'm sitting there going in case prep. I want to turn my case next because I want the bullet to be released the same all the way around as it's in the chamber. I want the primer to be hit the same way every time. I want, if it, just little things that add up in the hand loads to make a hand load. We get done with it. It's a hand load. There's nothing else to it other than we put our time in to fit it to everything that we want it to do. I get down to a case and I sit down and I look at it, and you're going to sit down and say, okay, that's a standard, 308. Well, the bullet's been washed in HBN2, so it's a coated bullet. You can't really see much, but it's sugar coated. Primers have been set. The case has been fitted. It's exactly what we're trying to get. I mean, right down to protecting the points of the bullet, pointing the bullets. All the bullets have been pointed and trimmed. Again, we're making a hand load here. We're trying to fit everything to the gun. So that's priming down the rabbit hole. I know it's a short one, guys, but it's something that we have to sit down and and it takes some tools,
Right.
and measurements and some time for you to sit down and break open 500 or 600 primers and measure them. If you're afraid that you're going to cause them to misfire or something, put on a set of nitrile gloves and measure it up and see what you're dealing with. And don't be sitting there leaning on a tool to try to set the primer because it isn't going deep enough, because if you haven't measured it, you don't know where it's supposed to end up at.
Exactly.
You have to take it and run it the way it's supposed to be. It's everybody says that it's all supposed to fit. Well, tell me where it says it's all supposed to fit. I mean, we all sit down and say we want 2/1000 off of the case when we set the shoulder back. We want to reduce it down 2/1000, but we have to have something to start with. We have to measure something to start with it. What about with the difference in sizes in the primers? If my primer pocket measures 0.129 and I'm trying to sit a 0.133 primer in it, I'm going to have a problem. So
Exactly.
And I don't, and yeah, I can crush the primer to make it fit, but am I going to get an accurate load then?
It's not going to be as consistent as the rest of them.
Right. Tightening up a primer pocket. Most of the time we just pitch the case, but there are ways to tighten it up, but is it really worth it? I mean,
and what my dad means by that, Paul, is like 30 carbine, for example, is known for getting primer pockets loosened pretty bad. Same way with like 224 Valkyrie had that big problem where primer pockets would expand and you wouldn't get good primer seat. So
start with your smaller primers first. Measure your primers. Start with your smaller primers first, and then see if you can get the same load in a larger primer as they go up. There is a swaging tool that will work with it, but you're just going to sit down and put the case into the swaging tool and then beat on it. Okay.
Gotcha.
Nick, let me ask you this about about the 30 carbine brass. Could it possibly be a quality issue, meaning the brass is just too soft? Because 30 carbine doesn't strike me as a high pressure round.
And I was reading on that earlier because my dad and I were talking about this earlier today, kind of explaining what we were going to be talking about tonight.
Yes,
and I did some reading. It's kind of like 38 Special 357. The cases, a lot of guys say soft material that the cases are made out of. A lot of guys say the side of the cases blow out on 30 carbine. So it could be that the brass that's being produced with 30 carbine is soft. So it's a good point. We haven't shot our 30 carbine or M1 carbines in a while. It's just something to start playing around with a little more.
If you're having a problem with the side, with the case blowing out on it, that means the bolt's opening up while there's still too much pressure. Okay. So that's telling me the powder's too slow for that load. All right. Because it's supposed to have enough, you're supposed to have the pressure drop enough for the bolt to start to open on it. It's just like an M1A. If you run too slow a powder in it, you can get the back of the case to mushroom out because the bolt's starting to open up. You can also eat a bolt that way too.
Yeah, it's same with M1 Garand. It's basically the same premise. You don't want to run commercial ammunition or non-Garand specified ammunition through a Garand because you can destroy your op rod, stuff like that. It's kind of the same.
IMR 4895 is your friend in an M1 Garand.
Exactly.
Okay. 308. Some people say 2520 is the limit. I kind of get hinky at that. 4064 is my limit. As far as an M1A. An M110 is it just seems that RL15 works in that pretty well. So again, each gun's law to itself, but those are the ones that I've seen and worked with has worked well with.
Nick, you mentioned 224 Valkyrie, and Idaho Rogers has got an issue with that too. Now, the question I got for you on the 224 Valkyrie, is it a high pressure round? I would think it is, considering.
It's very high pressure. Actually, I saved a file from the YouTube channel Iraqi Vet 8888. Chad from there was doing some testing a while back with it, and I saved his file he was using. Let me see if he has the pressure he had with that. Where is that saved at? 224. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I know velocity on the 60 grain nozzlers he was getting was actually getting 3,359 feet per second. So that's a booking round.
Yeah.
So
you're looking probably in excess of 60,000 psi.
see.
63,000 is the Sammy max on that.
Yeah.
So it's
And if I know any reloaders out there, they're pushing they're doing their damnedest to hit 70.
Right. And it was in a semi-automatic gun too, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So he was running in an AR.
Yep.
So in a bolt gun, it works out. I mean, you can make it work in a bolt gun. 22-250. You can make it work in a bolt gun. You're running into problems with it because of the lockup and the opening on the AR.
That's right. You're starting to move steel at those kind of pressures.
That's why you haven't seen very many. I think there's only one company that makes a 22-250 AR that I know of. So you haven't really seen it take off in the AR market. So
there's a lot of other. I mean, the geometry don't work real well for a 22-250 in an AR. The shoulder angle is kind of messes it up a little bit on the feed ramp going up into the into the chamber. But the Valkyrie was designed for it. This is 2 cartridges in a row for the AR that they've tried to take a 22 caliber bullet and move it faster than what the gun was designed for. You got the 22 Nosler and the 22 Valkyrie, 224 Valkyrie. If you're having problem with primer pockets, measure your primers. Start with the small ones first, and then move to the bigger ones next. That's the best way to do it. There is a swaging tool out there that is supposed to work. I've never used it. I couldn't tell you. So, I throw cases out. I mean, Winchester, Lapua, it don't matter to me. It's once they go, they're gone. So, but yeah, you're best off to just get rid of the brass when it starts to go. After again, small primers to large, and then go from there.
Nick, I'm almost wondering if you couldn't use Brian Nixon's Berdan sleeves.
And I've thought about that.
On the 30 carbine, I would think it'd be possible. On the Valkyrie, I wouldn't try it.
Oh yeah, no, the Valkyrie, and we don't load our 30 carbine super hot anyway because the gun's 70 plus years old, so I'm not going to push it to its limits.
But
so
30,
yeah,
I mean 30 carbine brass, it's worth the effort because it's getting harder to find and it's a lot more expensive.
Yeah, and there's no parent case, so you can't make it.
Right. So, yeah, because he's got 3 different sizes on there. It's like $15 for 100 of them. Otherwise, you can get the combo pack, which is same price, $15, and it's 99 of them. It's 33 of each, so different sizes. He's got small, large, and extra large. So I suspect small would probably do it, but I don't know. But you get some of those when you get the dice, which reminds me, you got to talk to me about that so I can get one of those out to you, so you can play with it. Since I don't have any Berdan brass to play with right now. So
yeah, we were actually on the way out to the range on Saturday, Dad and I were talking about that actually. So good thing you said something.
Yeah, I got to get you one of those kits down, so we can meet up and all that fun stuff. So
I'm hopefully going to be up in your area. Hopefully, I don't know anytime soon, but I'm with Vortex. It's opening that Vortex Edge training company.
Yeah.
Hopefully get up there and do some training.
Now, are they doing that on the grounds then?
They did. They just so they have their own YouTube channel now called Vortex Edge.
Yeah, I saw that.
And yeah, that's on the grounds. The only thing that's not on their grounds there is the long range precision, and that's just down there. I've never been to that part of that acreage. It's just down the road from what I heard, and they got little over 1,000 yards there. So
nice.
So I'm hoping to get up there and do the long range precision. So
excuse me, go, Mike. Forgive me. I don't mean to be ill mannered, but you want to address Chico's question?
Dun, dun, dun. The last
Yes.
comment.
Yes.
Yeah, I will in a sec. So Nathan Sherry sent me a notification. One of our rifle ranges, it's about an hour from me, is going to have 600-yard shoots coming up once a month for the next few months. So I'm going to go and check that out. I don't have anything to shoot it.
Yes, you did you sell your 308?
I don't have a 308.
You sold your 308. Okay.
No, I had a 65, but I sold it. So
right. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a whole new world of shooting 600 as opposed to 300 or even 200.
I mean, technically, I could use my 1916 Spanish Mauser.
Yep.
But I still have to get that burr cleaned out of the chamber. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so Chico-wise, hopefully no one frowns at my comment, even though primers are hard to acquire during these times at reasonable prices. Does Paul have a non-favorite primer manufacturer? And Chico says he does.
I have a couple of them, really. And the Russian primers, when they first came out, were really, really good. Then they got junk.
Yeah,
so
real quick.
The Tulas and are the ones that I really have a problem with. And there was another primer that didn't do so well. What was the other one?
There was Tulas and Wolfs. I think those are the two main Russian ones. There was a couple of off-branded ones that made a limited appearance back in 13 or 14. But Wolf and Tula were the big ones.
Wolf, when they first came out, Wolf was in their small rifle and their large rifle standards were ideal. I mean, I could load a 22-250, a 6mm, any of the 6mm, a 243, 6mm, anything with those original Wolf primers, and I would get SDs in the single digits all day long. I mean, it was just no problem. Then all of a sudden something happened and they were all over the place. The same loads you would be getting, 20, 30s or 40s and ESs, and I'm sitting there going, what went on? 24s and SDs. Tulas did the same thing. Tula's, the only thing Tula was good for was I would load Tula primers in my 38 Supers, small rifles, and my 38 Super pistol loads because they were cheap.
Yeah.
So, I haven't tried SBs yet, S&B. I have not tried those yet. Of course, I haven't seen many of them around either.
Yeah, they popped up for a while and then they disappeared. Somebody said that they had a problem with a fire at the factory.
I read that on the internet somewhere. I don't remember where.
Yeah, I mean it's enough of a rumor to make you believe that it's possibly true, especially considering Cabela's Bass Pro was stocking the heck out of them, and all of a sudden they just disappeared before the shortage. So, Idaho Rogers, USMC, said, anyone ever noticed that S&B primers run a little bigger, tighter fit, or is that just the goblins in my head?
Yes.
I mean, every company makes their primers a little different diameter, as Paul was talking about earlier. So it's entirely possible.
Well, it could be a matter of tolerances, too, which way they lean towards the tolerances.
I don't know. I'm running S&Bs still in my 9s and 40s, and I haven't noticed any problems. But I'm also putting them on. Well, the 40 was on the Lee Loadmaster, and then the 9s were on the 550. But I didn't really notice any issues.
Well, I was going to say that as far as it goes, if S&B is running that big, hold off on using them till you get loose primer pockets.
Right.
You know, sort of work with your brass, get a few more rounds out of each case.
Yeah. Remington Primers, I don't know if they're back in production yet. They're supposed to be sometime in the near future. So you'll start seeing those come back to the market when you see primers. I mean, we're starting to see some primers at Cabela's, but they're gone as fast as they come in. I mean, you're talking less than an hour. So those of you who were, you know, I was looking at a couple of the MeWe groups I'm in, and there was some conspiracy theorists out there talking about the government's causing the shortage. And I told them how much just 556,223 we've gotten since February 1st. Just the Sun Prairie Cabela's that I work at is probably somewhere, it's over 1 million rounds that have come in and out the door since February 1st.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's actually been green tip.
Holy cheese!
That's the same way at our store, Mike. We're getting a lot of green tip for some reason.
Well,
1 million rounds, one store.
Yeah, but you got to remember that green tip is Lake City unloading, you know, everything because that we're not using green tips anymore.
I think that's what that is.
You know, we're using 855 A1s.
Brown tip, isn't it now?
What?
I think it's a brown tip, is what they say.
Yeah, it's a brown tip. It's so the green tips are gone. You know, they're not being used by the military. They may use them for practice, but you know they're gonna you know get rid of those as fast as they can, and you're gonna see that the 855 A1s are not. You ain't gonna see those for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, we've had probably almost 400,000 9mm coming in and out the door. So, I mean, it's coming, it's being made, it's hitting the store shelves, and then everybody's buying as much as they possibly can, as fast as they possibly can.
So you're saying that's you're estimating that the store you worked in part time.
Yep.
That store has sold 1 million rounds in 6 weeks of time.
Yep.
Hell, there ain't no wonder there's a shortage.
That wouldn't shock me, Jim. With how much we're getting as a small store,
Yes.
That wouldn't shock me that I've been to the Sun Prairie Cabela's multiple times. It doesn't shock me how much they're selling.
I believe both of you. I'm just saying there's your answer right there to the shortage.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, Jen Champ Jr. said Fed Arms was another Russian primer boxed for the U.S. Yeah.
Never used it.
They weren't really long, partially because Federal went after them because the packaging and everything made it look similar. So I know Federal went after them hard to change their packaging, and then they just never did. They just stopped.
Well, isn't that the same reason why we can't get Wolf primers anymore and Tula primers because of the feds?
Nope. You can thank Trump for that one.
Yeah, the Fed shut them down. Yeah.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was one of the dick moves he did. Is he decided to play hardball with Putin, and we suffered as a result. So there was embargoes on firearms and ammo components. So,
yeah. And we sit down, and all those poor people that bought 545 AKs, now can't find it. You know.
Yeah, I mean, well, you couldn't find that stuff before the
right.
So because nobody in the States is making it.
Right. No one.
So
No one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, you got a bunch of guns you can't use.
Exactly. So
Anybody else got any questions?
doesn't look like it. Trundle was saying he has no primer shortage in Australia, yet all our primers come from USA. A lot of that, the reason that we are seeing a primer shortage right now is in the United States, the reloading market's always been second fiddle. Always. From the jump, it's been second fiddle. It's always been surplus powder and surplus bullets, surplus brass, surplus primers. Well, as you can see, just one Cabela's over 1 million rounds of 5.56, and somewhere between 350 and 500,000 rounds of 9mm. That's a lot of primers, and you figure you extrapolate that out across the country. Just at your Cabela's and Bass Pros, I think there's 120 Cabela's and Bass Pros across the country. Just those numbers alone, that's a lot of them. And so where you had a surplus of primers before, because they weren't making the massive amounts of ammo they're consistently making now, so you had primers to go to the secondary markets, that wasn't a problem. Now, as far as Australia, I'm sure that's all contracts and everything. That's a whole different story. It's probably, their purchase contracts and stuff that they're still filling. So, but that's probably a lot of that. Paul, Jorgen wants to know, what was the make of your primer pocket cutting tool?
Okay, hang on a second here. This is RW Hart is the name of the company that manufactures this cutting tool.
That cutting tool, is it carbide or is it high-speed steel?
This is carbide, and then this is just stainless steel on the outside.
Gotcha.
This is a removable, replaceable bit. You can go to. There's a couple of places that I recommend. Hart is one, and K&M makes one, and Holland's makes a primer correction tool too. So, and I think Sinclair even makes one, but Sinclair does not allow you to adjust the depth. They set it for you and leave it there. That's
no good.
No.
What's the point of doing it if you can't change your depth?
Right. So the Hart is the one I recommend. You can look them up online. Midway used to sell these. They don't anymore. So look up RW Hart online.
Yeah. And I'll include that stuff in the show notes too. So I'll get that stuff, names from you, Paul, again.
Yep.
One more question from Jorgen. Are there any other tools used in accurate priming that you don't have, but are interested in or maybe given a thought to purchasing at one point in time? Serious thought, not just passing thought.
I've dealt with and gotten rid of the single one at a time primer Cedars. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at that Primal, and I'm sitting there looking at the Primal Rights primer Cedar for $600, and I'm sitting there going, I got about $250, $260 into my setup right now. So no, I'm going to stick with this one because of the ease of adjustment and my knowledge of it. Yeah, go ahead. If you what do you have? 600 versus 300, call it. Okay.
Yeah.
$300 buys a few primers nowadays.
Yeah. Speaking of primers, best storage practices.
You guys will get all over me. Okay. 40 millimeter grenade can. Okay.
Mhm.
Put them in that, lock it up, put it inside the house someplace where it's going to stay nice and cool, and don't let the atmosphere get to it.
Okay.
I use plastic 50 caliber ammo cans from MTM products, MTM case guard. The reason why you choose the plastic is price, number one. Number two, it's airtight like Paul's talking about. But number three, it is explosion proof. It won't create a huge bomb like Paul's 40 millimeter can will.
I blew up enough 50 cal cans, 223 cans, 308 cans, and 40 and 30 cans. They split at the seams.
Good.
I mean,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're designed to split at the seams. So when you're sitting there locking that thing down, you're thinking man, I got it. This is great. And you look at all the seams on the back side of it, and with those little spot welds going down it, that's where they all open up.
Good deal, spot welds. That makes me feel better.
Yep.
I keep my powder in 30 millimeter cans.
Yeah.
Okay. So
well, under normal conditions, all those containers are airtight.
You're right. That's what I want. I don't, worry about it, but I want, I want them airtight. I don't want, I'll open up a pound of powder. Okay. And it goes into an MTM box, a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I keep pounds around, okay? So, because that's what I work off of. But I keep 8-pounders or 4-pounders in the 30s that I'll draw from in order to do it. And then just write lot numbers on a label as I go through.
Yep.
So.
Why is writing lot numbers important?
For me, it's the burn rate. It gives me it tells me if I see a change in burn rate as I go through. Minor, but to me, 20 feet per second is minor. Is a major change for it. Okay.
Right.
So if I'm sitting there going, you guys will see a 20 foot per second increase or decrease, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I'm down 20 feet per second or up 20 feet per second at 600 yards on a 3-inch by 6-inch prairie dog is 1.5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there going, no, primer lot, lots, primer lots, powder lots, bullet lots. We haven't gotten to bullets yet, and we got a ways to go on that one.
I'm sure that'll probably be a 2-part show.
Yeah, on yours alone, but I'm sitting there measuring my bullets. I'm trying to buy bullets, which is really hard right now, in the same lot.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the bullets that I get are only made and put in 100 round boxes, and it's really, really hard to get 10 or 15 boxes of those bullets.
Yeah.
So, and then I got to go through, I got to point them, trim them, then run them through my tumbler to coat them, and then and double check them at the same time as far as where they're at, as far as their length and everything else.
Yeah,
So,
we'll have you save that for that show though. So
yeah.
GGW Reloading wants to know, what websites do you use when you're looking for tools?
What websites do I use? I use a lot of Brownells, and I do a lot of searches. In other words, for what I'm looking for. In other words, if I want a primer pocket correction tool, I will type that in and actually look through that to find what I'm looking at, and then call the people up and talk to them.
In other words, you probably use something like Google or some other search engine
Right.
to find what you're talking about.
DuckDuckGo, yeah.
DuckDuckGo.
I try not to support Google.
The biggest thing I like with DuckDuckGo is it doesn't filter your search results.
Yeah.
DuckDuckGo doesn't have any advertising relying on whose results pop up first. It's all strictly on getting you the data that you need. So that's kind of the nice thing, is where some of that info on maybe a Google search would be 3 or 4 pages in. On a DuckDuckGo search, it's going to pop up that first page, and that is time saving.
Right. And a lot of the places that you're going to find, you're going to find them on Facebook. Okay, they're not going to have a regular website, and I got to go to Facebook, which I hate. But I go there just to get the information that I need and to see what people are saying about some of the products. I get great reviews on 21st century reloading products, but they are expensive. And I don't know about you guys, but every once in a while, some of us are on budgets. I can't, I got to be able to afford my next barrel. I can't put all into the tools.
Yep.
So, so it's looking for the precision products for gauge pins for expanding your necks. K&M versus 21st century for neck turning tools. They're there. Look at it. Look around. If you got questions, I'm on MeWe and I'm on Discord just about all the time. So ask a question. You want to find something, I'll let you know what I think and what I don't, and if I've tried it or not.
I'll back Paul up on that statement about being on MeWe. He's always on the MeWe chat answering questions. He's mentoring a lot of people over there.
And Discord too.
Yep.
Go to Discord.
Yep.
You can, if you don't want to put it in the regular one, you can private email me in Discord. I'll talk to you. Doesn't bother me any at all. I mean, it's just, we gotta teach everybody. I can't just let what I've learned to go to somebody, and not go to somebody.
Right.
That's why Mike and I started the show, Paul. 340 episodes, 341 episodes ago. More like 340, 338 for me.
So.
But tools, yeah. Presses, yep.
You know what? Excuse me, Paul. Forgive me for hold that thought. Jorgen Rangan came up with a good point. The server Discord is absolutely excellent. If you aren't in it yet, join it. Well, you can't join from John Q Public, but if you contact me, Paul, if you contact Mike, Nick, I don't know if Jason's on there or not, on Discord. Are you on Discord, Jason?
Yes, yes.
Okay. If you contact us, or even Sharenda, she's over there, contact us. We'll get you an invite to join the server.
Yep. And there is a post that I try and bring back up to the top in the MeWe group that has the invite link.
The permanent link? A permanent invite?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Well, forgive me for interrupting you again.
No,
you go ahead and finish your thought, please.
I said, all the presses that I've gone through. I mean, I've worn presses out. Okay, that's, I don't know how many people can say that, but I have actually worn a couple of presses out, and I just, ask. I mean, dies. Yeah, sometimes you can get away with a lousy set of dies that aren't lousy. I mean, and other times you're going to buy a $280 set worth of dies, and they don't do what you want them to do. So ask. Sometimes the all inclusive expensive ones don't actually work as well as you would hope they did.
Mm-hmm. They require more pampering and tweaking than the average person may be capable of doing.
Right.
So,
and I want to ask anybody on the panel today: has anybody ever broken a die, a sizing die?
No.
No, the closest I've ever come is sticking a case. One night I was resizing machine gun brass, and I stuck a case 7 times. That's when I decided I was going to use straight lanolin to resize my machine gun brass.
I actually split an RCBS 308 die sizing machine gun brass. Split it.
Wow.
So
that's impressive. So
RCBS wanted to see that one.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's the type of catastrophic failure that any of your reloading companies are going to be. You need to send that to us.
Yeah.
Because usually on something like that, that's not a. That's usually the only time you're going to see something like that is either typically a horrible misuse, a really, really bad casting, or some sort of extreme, type thing. So,
and Jim, I understand you're using straight lanolin. I have 3 of those red tumblers that when I'm reloading M1A brass, that I throw a rag in that has lanolin on it and 200 cases and let it roll for an hour.
That'll lube them up.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to sit down and touch each one or anything else. Just straight lanolin. Put it on a rag. Throw it in there. Let it run for a couple hours. 600 cases will do you pretty good.
Yep. Uniformly lubricated too.
Oh yeah. Yep. And then you're then a 15-quart ultrasonic cleaner takes off all the garbage.
There you go.
So, anyhow.
Well, Paul, thank you once again for sharing wisdom, and thanks to everybody else at the panel for joining and showing wisdom. So, Idaho Rogers USMC. Not ever broke one, but I have tossed one the distance of my basement and stuck it in the drywall. Looking at you, Lee. I haven't done it with a die. I've done that with box end wrench, but that was a cinder block wall, and that was trying to get a bolt on a motor mount loose on a 70s Dodge. So
I did it one time with a 12-inch crescent wrench, threw it across the shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it 5 sheets of 050 steel.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Never told my boss. Could never figure out where that come from, boss.
Yeah, that's something you're going to admit to. So
not in 5 sheets of new steel.
No. The funny thing is, Idaho Rogers, that die probably survived just fine, didn't it? So, all right, gang. So we're going to wrap up for tonight. Next week, what are we doing
Back
next
to basics, right?
We're charging cases next week.
Okay. And then the week after, we have a guest.
Yes.
So probably the first week in April, Paul, we're going to ask you to go down the rabbit hole again.
For charging cases.
Just in time for April Fool's Day, huh?
So, Yeah, so 2 weeks from today, today is March 16th. 2 weeks from today, we will have Phil Massaro joining us, talking about his new book, The ABCs of Reloading, 10th edition.
So,
And in talking with him a little bit, this wasn't just a refresh. This was a complete rewrite. So,
DBI books.
yep. So it is available for pre-order on Amazon, both actual paperback and Kindle edition. So
I might order the Kindle edition. I bought 3 paperback copies of the
Nice.
ABCs, 9, and I gave them all away.
well, that's a good thing of you.
Buy the hard copy.
No, I'll go Kindle.
Then he won't give it away.
I won't give my Kindle copy away.
Yeah, but buy the hard copy because the best thing about it is to be able to show people. And in the old days when we used to take people out hunting for the first time, you go see the deer over there, and the person looks over there, and he looks, he goes, nope, I don't see it. And I said, you point right down there, and then you sit down, just look at my finger, and then you hit him back of the head with 2x4. The average person cannot see anything smaller than a Volkswagen.
Yep.
Well, Paul, I have made the case more than once for printed information as opposed to electronic information, because electronic information is absolutely volatile.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be getting both. I've got the Kindle on pre-order already. So
Good deal.
yep.
And,
All right,
What's
gang.
up, Mike?
I have so many books, I don't know what to do with them anymore.
Yeah, that's a fun problem to have, though. So,
Yep. Anyhow,
all right,
where we
gang.
at, Damon?
So thanks to everybody that writes the podcast. We've got a couple emails we'll get to next couple weeks. So reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. Text us or leave us a voicemail, 608-467-0308. That is a Google Voice number. I know it works in the United States. I don't know about Canada or anywhere else. So, yeah, you can send us text messages that way too. You can also find us on Facebook, MeWe, Discord, and we're all over the place. So, huge shout out once again to Primary Arms for being a show sponsor. I was perusing their site earlier. They've still got a lot of firearms and firearm parts available, including uppers, lowers if you're looking for ARs. They've got some reloading stuff on there. They've got shooting gear, duty gear, lights and lasers. They've got, of course, their selection of optics. They're almost always running a sale on something, so make sure you check that out. One of my favorite features about this website, when you do your search and you look for it, they have this little box to check where it will take the stuff that's not in stock out of the search display.
Yes.
So it's a beautiful thing. And just like some other places, you can do email me when it's in stock. So if you've got something particular looking for and you select that, you can go ahead and check on that. There is no discount code at the current moment for Primary Arms, but that's I don't know. It might happen in the future. It might not. If it does, we'll get it out to you. So, but right now there's so that.
My old junk.
Yeah, Jorgen Reagan said Reloading Podcast giveaway featuring Paul's old junk. Oh, that'd be funny. But also a special shout out to the Patreons. Those folks that send us our hard-earned money every week to help us finance this podcast and help us be able to continue to get new stuff to play with and show off, and help us to be able to keep our technology working well enough so we can continue to bring this without lots of crap. So
yeah, those folks made possible giving away $650. Dylan,
yep,
$650.
And actually, I've got a bunch of other stuff sitting around here that's going to be giveaways as soon as I get a chance to start doing some videos on it. So, Spotify came out with their own little specialized streaming thing called Anchor that we're going to be on. Just so you know, I'm working on getting that. Also, we're going to be working on getting on Full 30 with some videos. I'm going to put up some of Travis's videos first on Full 30, see how it goes. We're still on the Realtors Network, so make your swing over there. Check out a lot of awesome content there. We're not the only show in town, nor do we claim to be. We're here to spread knowledge. And if you find knowledge on some other show, let us know. Because we love giving shout outs to other shows because we know we don't have the ability to be able to cover everything all the time in the way we want to. So if there's other stuff out there that people are covering that you thought, hey, that was good, let us know. So, and on that note, keep your brass shiny.
Be an asset, not a liability.
Jump on the Milsurp short bus.
Grandpa told me.
Jim?
Grandpa told you what, Paul?
That's the thing. Grandpa told me.
Violence does solve problems.
Yeah, I agree with that. Support the Second Amendment. It's the most important thing you can do.
Yep. The second protects the rest of them.
Take new shooters shooting. That's even better. More fun for them and more fun for you. No, I ain't taking you. You live too far away.
And some lady that pretends to be on the podcast sometimes, but usually just stops by for a few minutes and says hi because she's got this work thing she keeps claiming. She says, "Teach a lady to reload." She just might like it. So, all right, gang. Thanks a lot. Appreciate everybody tuning in live. Next week, for those of you tuning in live, we will do a giveaway for a patch. So during the show. So if you turn in live, we'll give away a patch next week from Patriot Patch Company. All right, gang. Thanks and good night.